What happens at laser tag never stays at laser tag.
Laser Unfocused Tag Talk.
Laser Unfocused Tag Talk.
I feel like you could be like in Ghostbusters or something.
Oh my God, you have got some stories.
Let's talk about laser tag.
Who knew you were a laser tag legend?
Time to get laser unfocused. Tag Talk with Tivia.
Welcome to Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Hi, I'm Tivia. From the actual reality system to the actual reality of running a laser tag business, operator Jenna Boyo has a wealth of experience to share. I would like to welcome my guest today. She is Jenna Boyo, and she's the owner of Planet Lazer Kelowna. And I'm so glad to have you here with me, Jenna. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Well, you and I met last year at the Laser Tag Convention, and it was really obvious to me right off the bat that you not only have a passion for what you do, but for laser tag as a whole, which I love that. And so I wanted to just kind of start things out by getting a little idea of your background. How did you get started in laser tag? Were you a player first?
No, I actually didn't know anything about laser tag when I fell into the business, oddly enough. A little bit of background, I bought a house when I was pretty young. I was 17, mostly because I just didn't want to pay rent. So I worked hard, got enough money, bought a house. And then I walked into a laser tag place one day with a bunch of friends, and the owner was sitting there saying that he wanted to sell. And I thought, well, you know, I don't really have a lot going on right now. I'm working 2 part-time jobs. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I was supposed to become an RCMP member, police in Canada. But didn't want to. So was kind of stuck. So anyway, I went into this business, and the gentleman had told me that he was selling it. And I said, I've never played laser tag. How does this work? And he explained it to me, and I thought, well, this sounds fun. It sounds like an investment. I'm going to do it. I know it sounds real. I know it was such a weird thing. And I didn't have any idea of this industry at all. It was a very unique transition into this industry. The business that I bought was 8 years old, and it was running AR, so actual reality. The owner that was there was basically saying that it was about time to get a new system. So I should have known.
What year that was that he was saying that?
Oh, so this was in 2004. So I bought it in 2004. This business opened in 96, and then the system was used at that time. So gotcha. got in there, discovered that I had to learn something really quick, which was small electronic repair, which is not needed now as an operator. But at the time, that's what we had to do. So I got in there. I loved it. I loved laser tag in general, playing it. I didn't really know much about different systems. I didn't know much about how unique people that I was going to deal with. I wish I had met you back then. That would have been amazing. But yeah, I've had it for 20 years now, and I wouldn't do anything else other than what I'm doing. It's a fantastic business, and just the industry as a whole.
Well, that's awesome. And I'd love to talk with you a little about the actual reality system, because this is the year of their 30th anniversary as a legacy system and being honored on this year's Laser Tag Day poster. And the timeline, I wanted to get right as far as when you purchased it and how long you ran actual reality, because you ran it for a very good long time. And well, let's start with, how long did you actually operate the specific system of actual reality?
So I ran it until 2016. I bought it in 2004. And again, it had 8 years prior to that, and maybe 2 years prior to that from another site. So it got moved to Kelowna, and then 2 previous owners plus me. So it was quite a while. I loved AR. Honestly, I think people know this about me, but I call my business my baby before my babies. I call AR my babies before my babies. It was a workhorse. It was a DOS-based system. So you didn't have the Windows crashing and all that fun stuff. It was very versatile, actually. And comparing it back then to 2004 with the other systems that were out there, it was infrared. So we weren't running Wi-Fi back then. So you would have to scan your phaser into a target to load up. And then at the end of the game, it would say game over. You have to scan it to download your score. But it was advanced for what it was. There was also a ProSite feature on it, which was going into the Windows. So it started the evolution of going from DOS to Windows at that point, that had a ton of features. We had access to it, but we didn't really utilize it as much as we could have. And mostly because at that point, AR was sold to Vector. So to get parts, the original AR parts, you could get the gun shells and stuff like that, but you couldn't get the boards and stuff like that you used to be able to. So I started buying up pieces all over the planet of any AR site that was going out of business or upgrading. So I ended up, by the time I was done, I had about 120 pack system, most of them in pieces, but 40 of them built.
So the timeline is really interesting to me because it's my understanding that Actual Reality company assets were sold to Vector in 2002. Now that's over 20 years ago, and that's 2 years before you got it. So you didn't start operating yourself until 2004. You couldn't have then probably received much in the way of manufacturer support. So how did you learn what to do with this system?
Well, that was fun. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know anything about laser tag in general. So basically, I lived and learned. I found out what the issue was with a vest, if there was something that went down, and kind of just self-diagnosed it. There was no one to talk to. AR had been disbanded at that point. I think Martin and we had their phone. We actually had all of their phone numbers on our wall when I bought the business, so I could see who I could call if the numbers were still in service. But then we reached out to Jonathan and Roanne Flechet, and we were able to get a little bit of knowledge through them. But there wasn't any really, other than other operators, there wasn't any support. So yeah, I just basically, anytime there was an issue, we solved it, and then we knew for the next time. Buying up all the boards and the pieces and stuff like that, we were able to monster together full packs. I mean, it was like, now most of the boards are surface mounted. These ones weren't, so there was eyelets, and I was burning pads all the time with my soldering iron, trying to figure out how to fix things. So it was really trial and error. And now that I have a system that has support, it's amazing how much harder it was back then. I mean, I obviously survived, but it was a lot harder to try and make it work than it would have been if I had known that maybe we should have upgraded. But again, the way that the equipment ran, it was way more high tech than even a lot of the other ones at that time were out. So to me, it didn't make sense to not utilize the system we had and keep running it and keep the features like the bomb shot. Don't know if you ever got to do that one.
I didn't. My experience was very, very limited. The one and only time I ever got to play Actual Reality was in 2017 at a different venue here in the States. So at that time, it was largely believed that this is perhaps the only place that still had it operating anywhere. And if you ran it through 2016, that definitely makes you among the very, very last operators with the Actual Reality system. Yeah. So, why did you keep it that long? And what brought you to the point of deciding that you were ready to upgrade?
So again, it was the features. I mean, it compared to what we have now, where, you know, each of the systems has 30 plus game types, we had 2. So Actual Reality has to be either a red vest or a green vest. That's it. If it starts red, it stays red. If it starts, that is the vest. It does not change at all. So the hard part about that was, if you had an odd number of vests, you got like 12 on 16, right? You needed to be able to, and if somebody came out and said, I didn't like my score, I want to switch to the other teams, they would have to start over completely. So even though it was an attractive system with how it looked, honestly, that I loved the way that the vest lit up and the sounds that it made and the responsiveness. Again, that bomb shot, it was like you pull the trigger in and then you put your fingers on the front. There was sensors you had to touch to make it fire. And what that would do is it would give you a 5-second shield, so nobody can shoot you for the 5 seconds, but it rapid fires at the same time. So people, for strategy, they would pull the trigger, hold their phaser down, pull the trigger, put your fingers on the sensors and be able to tag people. And like, that was just, I know it sounds, in what year are we in, 2023, it sounds really archaic, but back then it was a really neat feature. People went to other facilities and they tried out other systems, and ours still was tactical, I guess is the best way of putting it. In the end, the reason we switched is because it was how many years old? We did everything we could to keep that system running. I mean, the average life expectancy of the vests are 10 to 12 years. And this one was 20 something. So, I mean, or sorry, what's the math on that?
Well, if somebody had it for you said roughly about 8 years prior to your taking over. I mean,
Yeah.
that's 20 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my
That
advertising
system got you through.
My advertising was great on that one. My accountant loved it. But it was time. I mean, I got more heavily involved in the industry in, I would say 2012 is when I started attending Amusement Expo and IAPA and things like that. And it's great when you're in your own little bubble and living your best life, and then you see all these new features that are coming out, and you've got to stay relevant. So, I mean, if AR was still running, then I probably would have bought the newest system from them. But I found a great system that has a ton more features, way easier to work on. I still have a soft spot for AR, though. I gotta say, that's again my baby before my babies.
Okay. Well, you're obviously still running a successful business with your new gear. And so what did you switch to and why did you choose it?
Sure. We switched to Delta Strike in 2016. Doug actually came out to Canada. I should have looked up the year. He came out probably 8 years prior to that. Just kind of bouncing from place to place, just checking out your system, seeing what's going in. And he's from New Zealand.
Mhm.
So he was kind of doing a world tour, checking in and seeing what was going on. And I fell in love with the remote that he had. We had a remote too. We actually called it the God Box, which apparently we don't call that anymore. We call it the remote. And I was all sad because I'm like, but okay, I'm not that cool anymore. I got it. But the fact that the vest could change colors mid-game, the fact that you could update scores, and like a lot of our clients are birthday parties, and you always want the birthday guest to win. So if you can help with their score at some point, I mean, you look like the hero, mom looks like the hero, and they are extremely impressed. That was something you couldn't do with AR or any system that was infrared, as far as I know anyway. So yeah, he came out, met with us. I fell in love with the system and the features of what he had, but I wasn't ready to upgrade. Just a mix of reasons, but at that time I was still happy with AR. And then in 2014, I started talking to Shane from Delta Strike and went down to Vegas and played it there, and basically said, this is what I'm going to end up going with.
Okay. And I know that you have an arcade in your business, as most laser tags do, but outside of that, is laser tag your primary business as sort of a standalone facility?
Yes. Yeah. So I have an arcade, I have food, party rooms. And then my laser tag is about a 6,000 square foot 2-level room. Yeah, it's fun. It's got all the interactive bells and whistles in it. And it's just, yeah, I love the 2-level thing. I think every arena, you played in enough of them, every arena should have at least 2 to 3 levels, because it just adds to so much more fun. So yeah, that's my primary focus is the laser tag.
Okay. And what else can you tell me about the arena? Any interesting theming or things that you put in on purpose to make it, play well?
Yeah. So obviously Planet Lazer space theme.
Love that. I love a good space themed arena.
I know. We actually upgraded a couple things in the last few years. Our Art Attack, we've gotten a couple things from them. And then Blacklight Unity is actually a really neat one for people that are just looking to do the exterior walls of their business. Because they're kind of like a wallpaper, like a vinyl blacklight reactive wallpaper.
Mm-hmm.
So changing the arena up, putting some new targets in from Delta Strike. So like hex spaces that act like time bombs, points boxes, doorways that can destroy you or give you power-ups. And then just general theming with always increasing the DMX. Just changing things. I mean, you have to evolve your arena as much as you want to keep it themed a certain way. You've got to put little Easter eggs in there and make it your own, right? So that's kind of the evolution of what we've done over the last. Yeah, it's 19 years. It's 19 years. I feel I'm getting old now. It's official.
Well, it's great to hear about a business, especially a standalone arena that has that kind of longevity, because so much in recent years in the market with laser tag has been incorporated into family entertainment centers. And, there's certainly a place for that. But, it's kind of where you've got everything but the kitchen sink sometimes in these places, as opposed to what you've got where the spotlight really is on the laser tag. So I'd love to know, do you feel that laser tag alone offers enough appeal on its own that it's sustainable? Obviously, you've done it for 19 years, but what makes it so?
I think it's how you run it. Honestly, when I took over, again, it was harder to do throughput with what I had with AR. I was running 2 games an hour, so 2 17-minute long games an hour. And I learned after the fact that they're called extreme laser tag because they were 17-minute long games. And I thought, oh, that makes sense. But it's also exhausting. You put anybody in a room for 17 minutes doing 2 levels, ramps up and down, they're going to get tired. So the evolution of the operation would have been we have gone to 12-minute games. The throughput is group 1 does a game, and then a break, and then they go back in. So we're able to stagger it so people are spending more money in the arcade and while they're cooling off from laser tag. I've had enough people tell me that standalones will not survive, that's not, you can't have a standalone. You have to diversify, you have to have multi-attraction. And I don't believe that. I have seen quite a few standalone centers that have done very well, but it is how you position yourself. So we are very good with birthday parties and the packages that we allow. And then we get all women's book clubs in their 60s. We get corporate law firms. We get a little bit of everything. But that's because we've spent a lot of time in marketing on saying laser tag isn't just for kids. And now, like for years, we had so many people calling and saying, hey, I had my kid's birthday party. Do you do adults too? And I'm like, so we spent a lot of time and effort teaching people that yes, you can definitely come in for your 16th birthday, come in as a corporate. And I think that people are missing a lot of that with the laser tag. They assume it's a kid's birthday place and a one and done. And I mean, we've become a lot of the colleges around us will come weekly and do little tournaments with the different clubs and stuff. So I think people are missing the mark on understanding that laser tag is not just meant for 12 and under.
How do you cultivate your community so that you can have a space for kids and their birthday parties and still have maybe an appropriate separate space for all ages play? Do you find that you have to work to separate those things?
It's changed after COVID. So we have 3 party rooms. So what I do is I do a birthday party. We'll do, let's say, a 10 a.m. game and a 10:30 game. So the 10:15 and the 10:45 can be whoever. Right now, we still have the option for private games. So you can pay more to have the arena to yourself with a minimum number of players, or it's an all ages thing. So again, the birthday party, I'm not going to mess with them. I really don't want to ruin Timmy's 5-year birthday. So I'm not going to put adults in with his 10 o'clock and 10:15 game. But every 15 minutes, there's an opportunity for someone else to go in. So then the adults can mix with the kids and whatever it is. So keeping the parents happy with their birthday parties and not creating a situation that isn't enjoyable has come out of COVID. Prior to COVID, we actually had age restrictions. I use Party Center software. So I would put in a birthday party time slot, and then I would put 5 to 7-year-olds only, or 8 and 9-year-olds only, or 9 and 10-year-olds only. So we kind of grouped together the ages that we thought would work well together. And we did that since 2013. And now with COVID, unless you're paying post-COVID, unless you're paying for private, we'll keep the birthday parties the same, but otherwise you're playing with anybody. And it hasn't been an issue. I think that's also to do with the arena layout, because there's a lot more places to hide. You're not running into each other. There's no dead ends where people can get camped on. Because we've all seen that in a laser tag where somebody shoots somebody and shoots somebody and shoots somebody, and then they won't walk away. And so we've created an open arena or open maze concept where there is no dead ends really, except for the 4 corners that they can have an issue with. So that leads to the games being more enjoyable for various ages to play together.
Okay. And I'm just going to kind of skip ahead to a question based on what you were just saying about COVID, because I actually had plans to visit British Columbia, and this was prior to COVID. You were definitely on my list. And then the pandemic happened, and suddenly the world changed, and some really amazing laser tag businesses did not make it out. And so as I look at the ones that did survive and are successfully looking at the other side of the pandemic, your arena is in Canada, so maybe you have some things that you experienced, guidelines different than what we did in the States. But I'd love to know how you got your laser tag business through the challenging time and what it's been like operating, since in the last couple of years.
It was hard, as everyone says. I think the hardest part for me as an operator, the hardest part was knowing that you weren't allowed to. You used to be able to host kids' birthday parties and have a great time and create all these great memories for people. And then you were told, stop, no, sit down, be quiet until this is over. And then it was just, I think that was the hardest part. We never let any of our staff go. During COVID, we actually did maintenance and repairs. We did training. We kept everybody on full time that we had prior to COVID hitting, because I didn't want to lose any of my staff. My staff are absolutely amazing. With that said, it was because nobody knew when this was going to end. Every day watching the news and finding out what we were allowed to do, the slow let up and then the shutdown again, and then the slow let up. The only way to make it was to put any verbiage that had the restrictions into what we were doing. So you weren't allowed to have a birthday party, but you were allowed to have a core bubble. So your family and one or two other people that were associated with your family were allowed to get together. So we called the birthday parties that were not birthday parties a core bubble experience. So we were able to, with the guidelines, get people to be comfortable enough to come out. There was times where we only had one group in the facility at a time. Our facility is only about 7,000 square foot total. So we were able to do that. But that was also like, you get a group of 8 in, they leave, you wipe everything down and you go again. And we did it because we knew we had to. I didn't want to have the business closed when we were technically allowed to be open and lose the momentum that we had, and have people forget about us, which I think was a big thing with some of these businesses closing down, is they said, I can't open, I can't afford to have my staff there until the restrictions are gone. We're not going to do it. But then your competitors were opening. So what did you think was going to happen? They were going to forget about you. So we never wanted to do that. So any chance we could, any restriction that got let up, we went and worked with it and sanitized everything. We were spraying down parts of the arena that I didn't even know you could spray. We had the HEPA filters, the UV filters. It was, as with everybody else, it was hard. But we got it. We got through it.
Well, I'm really glad to see the success of the arenas that were able to make it through, and clearly you're still going strong, and so you've got a successful business. What do you think is the secret sauce to keeping a business open, especially a standalone, for as long as you have?
I have notes for my notes. So being an operator, I started using Party Center software in 2013. And if you're a person that comes in and says, hey, I love this place, I work at a law firm and I do we'll actually write in the notes that, hey, Tivia works at a law firm. She really liked this about our whatever. So when you rebook, when you come in again, I'll be like, oh, Tivia, I remember you. You were the one that said, oh yeah, the law thing. So we make like a special connection with people. We don't have very good memories, but we keep really good notes. Our customer service, how much energy we put into our programming for the birthday parties, all of that really, it's free. You teach your staff to be amazing and you're getting all this free advertising. So I teach my staff that every birthday party that comes in, if you've got an 8-person birthday party, 7 of them are little walking billboards for their parties. They're going to go home and tell mom how amazing the place was. So going above and beyond every time somebody comes into your place is way easier than trying to find somebody with marketing, in my opinion. We still do it, but that to me is part of all our culture with our business, is that if they come in, I don't even care if they're just there to pick up their kid from the party, you're saying, hi, how are you? Are you having a great day? I really like your dress. It's a small gesture to create a really great environment. And our community knows that. I think we have like a 4.7 Google star. When Groupon was out, we had a 5-star, which I don't even want to think about Groupon anymore, but everybody tried it once. But I think this is the ultimate success for the standalone is just being aware of your clients, just appreciating them and having a genuine interest in people, just loving people. And
Well, I
laser.
think you're spot on with that. And it does make such a difference. And that is something that the smaller arena setup can allow you that maybe, maybe a corporate bigger situation can't always identify. So that does make you unique. And I always think that it's interesting what makes a laser tag center different from everybody else around them. And, and it's a number of different factors. And one that comes to mind is, I'm curious, do you offer membership options? Do you have a member base?
We do have memberships through Delta Strike, where they get to pick their own code name. They can upgrade to certain weapons that are stronger, faster, shields, stuff like that within the laser tag system. Our arcade has a membership base as well, or more of a loyalty base, I guess. So between the two, we pick up one of the two. But then for us, I think membership was hard when we started it, because we had to segment games, meaning that if you were a member and you had, top tier, every upgrade possible, you couldn't go in and destroy the average player. Because when we first brought into membership, that's what was happening, is we were getting this guy that could one-shot everybody. And then they didn't have a good time. So that clearly wasn't going to last past the end of the day. So we ended up creating a separate set of games that trigger that membership benefit. So if there's enough members and it's just them going in, and or the walk-in traffic understands, hey, you're going with members, they happen to have upgrades, are you sure you want to play? We also have like bonus cards that we can say, I know you don't have a membership, but we just want it to be even. So let's load you up. That way you can play on the same level as them. So the members are happy. They still get to use all their upgrades. And then the open play people aren't as upset because they don't get one-shotted in the corner for this 12-minute long game.
What you're saying about being able to adjust those memberships in the beginning, is that inherent a feature within the system, or is this something that you had to customize at your center just to make sure that things were running the way you wanted them to?
We had to customize. There are certain, with Delta Strike anyway, you get a list of which ones will activate the membership benefits.
Mm-hmm.
But some of those we still said, no, I'd rather just not run. So at this point, we have the separate set of standard games and then the member games that will allow that to happen. That was probably like 6 months after getting memberships, because we got a surge and all these college students were buying them, and the families were buying them, and then we're seeing so many repeat play from the college students where they were leveling up quite faster than the families were, and we knew we needed to create a balance there, and that's what we ended up doing, is saying, you're still going to get your membership points. You're still going to be able to get use your code name and everything, but you won't be able to use your weapons for this game. Do you want to go on in the next one in 15 minutes, or do you still want to play in this one? And then they're like, oh, you know what, I'll wait, or no, I'm okay with just getting points. So we were able to balance it by looking and seeing, and again, that's a huge thing about paying attention to your customers, even just in your lobby, especially for the standalone places where the lobbies aren't huge, where you can, get the feedback without getting the feedback. You don't have to be sending out surveys. You can just overhear, oh, I wish I had played the next game. Oh, okay, well, maybe next time we know to suggest. So yeah, just keeping an ear out, knowing what your general clientele wants.
That attention makes a big difference.
It does.
I was curious about the membership situation, because I wanted to know if you have a community of members that are your regulars, or if you've cultivated any kind of competitive scene at your site.
I used to run a bowling center. So leagues and that kind of stuff scare me. Especially when it comes to laser tag, because I know how critical league bowlers were. So we don't run tournaments with our members or anything like that. Especially when there's a financial prize or anything like that, then there becomes an issue where, somebody didn't play fair or whatever it ends up being. So I have groups of people, and especially like pubs. So pubs will come in and they want to verse this pub versus this pub, and they buy membership so everybody can see each other and do kind of an industry night. But they tend to and also we have a member Monday. So when they know if they come in on member Mondays, they get a cheaper rate, and they can also use their power-ups and stuff like that. So it's more of an unofficial thing. We do advertise it, and I find that more of our members advertise it for us, but we don't do a specific hardcore, this is what we're like a tournament. I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It just scares me. Tournaments scare me. Again, I just, yeah, there's always going to be somebody that's going to have an issue. And I haven't been to too many laser tag tournaments, which I'm sure you probably have, but I don't know. I always worry about somebody saying, well, I feel like my vest misfired or the trigger got stuck and when there's a financial gain, then people tend to get a little more upset than not. So, yep.
Okay, that's fair enough. Well, I think that some of the things that you've implemented are great ideas that other operators could probably use as a takeaway themselves. But I'd love to know if, other than your own, is there any one laser tag arena that you've visited that you feel really does things really right, or that you've learned some kind of useful approach after seeing how another operator, handled something?
Two arenas that I really like. I'm not sure. Did you ever play in Issaquah back in the day when it was like a Joker themed, like a House of Cards themed arena?
No,
It
I
was
didn't.
really neat. They actually ran Darklight. I don't even know how many years ago this was, but I really liked the theming that they did. It was multi-level. The ramps were all great, so you could shoot down directly through, which I'm not sure what the building standard is down there now. If you can actually use grates for ramps, not sure, because I know they change.
I can't say that I can think of a ramp that was graded, but we do have open grading floors in some places.
Yeah, no, I've seen that where they have the cutouts or whatever, but this was like the full ramp, so you could see, and I mean, you really had to like find a barrel to hide behind. So that one was really tactical. I really like that. I also really like the one in Vegas at it's in Henderson.
Flipping Out Extreme in Henderson, Nevada.
That's what it is.
Yes, they made
absolutely.
Tivia's top 10 arena list.
Yes, nice. There you go. Yeah, they have an amazing arena, and obviously I like their system. So I like that was I think Brian Severance did the DMX in there, and yeah, that's Fallout Entertainment or Fallout Consulting or but yeah, he did a great job. But yeah, I loved their arena too. The only thing that scared me about that, with being Canadian, is they have stairs in their arena. And I thought, well, what, like, going backwards, someone's going to have an issue there. So, but I loved like the DMX, the way that they had like the lights that go like this and they open into the fog as you're entering the arena. They had the red and blue ones. I don't know if they had them up when you were, whatever year you were there, but yeah,
I'm not remembering the lights, but what I really remember about that is just the levels and the variety. That's a really unique arena that they have there.
Yeah, and they had the smoke machines that like shot up from the middle pillars, and it like the whole thing was really neat. Again, the stairs I was a little worried about, but it was in the airlock. It was coming out. They would do the video, and then the DMX would have like the lights go down, so it kind of looked like bars. And then they had a haze machine on both of them. And then as the arena started, they opened up, and it really it was impactful. That one was really I didn't realize they made a top 10 though. I should probably find this list. Hey, yeah, that one was really neat. I liked that one.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now I've loved hearing some of these stories about the business, and I feel like anybody who has a business has sort of a laser or a bird's eye view of some interesting things going on, and therefore has a lot of stories. And I'm sure you do. And so I would love to hear a few stories. I'll throw you an easy one to begin with. You were talking about some interesting groups that come in. What's the most interesting group you've had through your arena?
Oh man. I don't know. I think after 19 years, I have way too many stories. You know what? I was just telling a customer like 2 days ago, we have an all women's book club that comes in. I kid you not, they're all 60 plus. They have these white hats that they wear, and they buy that fabric glue and they put their names on the hat. So they draw their names and they put it so they can see each other in the arena, right? But one of them, they all went in, and one of them came out, and she was like hooting and hollering and said how great she was. And then the one lady goes, Edith, if you keep talking like that, you're not coming back to the bridge club this week. And I'm like, this can't be happening. Like, there's no way. This is scripted. So they're amazing. I love them. They come in about once a month. And it just, not your typical clientele, right? We also have, we have a law firm that came in, and like it's super professional looking. And as soon as I said, you guys want to do teams, the the partner ripped off a shirt and said "shirts versus skins" and ran in, and I'm like, oh my God. So I mean, it brings out, because it's a corporate, it's a team building. It's I mean, that was a little bit of a weird one. Obviously they had a better sense of humor than most of us, but I mean, you can sit in an office and you can, be the most professional person on the planet, but when you want to let loose and have fun and just be a kid again, laser tag is perfect for that. It doesn't matter what age you are. And then you also get I give vests to 2-year-olds all the time because the parents want them to play. And Delta Strike has a really amazing hardware where you could throw it against a truck and it won't break. So a lot of manufacturers say 6 and up. And I said, you know what, if the kid wants to wear it and the mom's okay with it, you go in and play. So now you get the entire family involved. That little 2-year-old, or even my 5-year-old, they won't let him play at some of the laser tags that we go to. And I'm like, he's been playing since he's fine, but they won't let him. So now you've created a full family experience. You can have 92-year-old great grandpa and 2-year-old great grandson going in together. And it really ties everything together. It's one of the unique activities where everybody's involved at once. Everyone's having a great time. With bowling, it's turn-based. Laser tag, everyone's in there. So it's going to be around forever.
So what is the most unbelievable thing that has ever happened at your arena?
You're gonna have to give me a little bit of what I'm allowed to say on that one. Unbelievable thing. Oh, how about an engagement?
An engagement's good.
I know. I thought it was. That was probably 15 years ago. This gentleman had come in and said, "I'm coming in tonight. I've got my girlfriend with me. I'm gonna ask her to marry me." And we did this whole setup and where he wanted to do it, and he left a tux behind our desk so that he could change into it while they were playing. And they all went in to play normally, and I extended the game so he had enough time to get all good to go. And the game ended, and he was on one knee at in the airlock, and she walked out, and he asked her to marry him. And I guess they had their first date at our place. So that was it kind of tied it all together. But I was like, oh my God, this is so cool, so unexpected, right? Like, think of all the places you could get engaged. Laser tag, top 10. Yes.
You ever had a wedding there?
I've never had a wedding. No. We've had post-wedding photos. We've had people come in when they're full dressed up and they take, because I guess they met at an arcade and they wanted to use our arcade as a background. But yeah, not a full-on wedding yet. I should work on officiating. I could get my license or something. That'd be fun.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything on Tuesday.
Oh, well, that's a really cool story. Anything really absurd come to mind? Like, people are always, laser tag is prime for people to just say some crazy stuff, and whether it's trash talk or whether it's just really being competitive. Anything really absurd happen? I'm just prompting for there are stories there.
Well, when you say absurd, we had a bunch of college students in, and all of a sudden 4 of them ran out of the arena with a bunch of clothes. And I was like, where are you going? And they went out the front door, and then they came back and kept laser tagging. And I was like, that was weird. So the game ends and all these like young men and skimpies walk out, and I'm like, that's where your clothes are. They're like, you know where they went? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he put them in the parking lot. So that was a weird one for me, because I really didn't know what to say or do, rather than like, can you leave the vest in here while you go get dressed? It was creepy. So that was,
I knew there was a story there.
Yeah, like I don't know if they did like teams, and they said the losing team has to, or what it was, but I don't think they expected them to leave with their clothes. But they were still decent, but they didn't have pants or shirts. So that was weird. That was not fun. I don't know. Like I said, 19 years worth of, you've almost seen it all. Very little shocks me anymore. Yeah.
Well, 19 years of doing this, you definitely have fun. You can tell that. And I just love your passion and enthusiasm for your business and for laser tag on the whole. And I'd love to know, what do you think is the reason that laser tag continues to have such great appeal to so many people?
I think it has a lot to do with the push that the operators and the pillars in the industry have done, like yourself, with showing that it's not just something for birthday parties. I mean, we have these tournaments that are out there. Laser Force does the global positioning where people can compete globally to be able to show their skill on the center stage. So I think it's the evolution of what we thought we were versus what we can be.
Well, this has been really cool to get to talk with you and very informative. And I love to wrap things up with a little rapid fire tag talk. So some quick questions at you and some quick answers back. You game?
I hope so. Hang on. Coffee?
Oh, she's taking this seriously.
Got it. Yes, the
All
Tim
right.
Hortons.
There you go. All right. What's your favorite game format to play?
Zombies.
Coolest place that you've ever traveled for laser tag?
England.
Favorite prize or souvenir you ever won for yourself or awarded to somebody else?
Can I say a manufacturer t-shirt? Is that weird?
Oh, yeah. Look behind me now.
I guess,
Weird
yeah.
now.
Okay, yeah. I just thought it was so cool. Like I felt pretty good about that. But yeah, I would say a manufacturer laser tag t-shirt. Yeah.
I love that. I call that tag swag. Love
Tag
to add to the
swag.
collection.
I'm gonna look for more now.
Favorite brand of "we never run in the arena" shoes?
Oh my gosh. Can I just go with socks? I feel like that's the
I've only done that once in an arena, but sure.
Yeah. We've had stilettos. We've had people run it or walk fast in stilettos before. And I was like, what? No. I can't even walk in those normally, let alone laser tag in them. So yeah.
Okay. Favorite snack at the concession stand?
Cotton candy.
And best reason to play laser tag at Planet Lazer Kelowna?
Because we're amazing. Because our staff are amazing. And the experience is fantastic. So you have to try it at least once or 7 times.
Why not make it a baker's dozen? Sure.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Keep
Yeah,
on coming back.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that's terrific. Do you have any final thoughts to share?
I'm excited about Amusement Expo and the Laser Tag Convention, which is coming up.
I am so excited about that also. In fact, if you're going to the Laser Tag Convention, I will be one of the speakers, and there's a whole lineup of great informative speakers and information and the trade show. And so much to be looking forward to out in Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, I'll be there. And I also, you know what? I have a bucket list item, which again, 19 years in, I have not met George Carter III yet. Can you believe that?
Oh my goodness.
I know. I'm missing a lot in my life. So that's like
He's
one
amazing.
of I have to. And my goal in life is to get him some awards. So he hasn't been inducted into the Hall of Fame with IAPA yet, and I don't understand. So I'm going to keep pushing for it.
Well, I am behind you on that one.
Absolutely. Oh, you invent laser tag? You should be like top of the planet stuff.
He is amazing and such a wealth of information from the history of getting this whole thing started. I mean, Photon is the granddaddy of all laser tag. And so everybody in the world of laser tag really owes a debt of gratitude to George Carter III for inventing it. And that is the reason that we celebrate International Laser Tag Day on March 28th, which is the anniversary of when the very first Photon site in Dallas, Texas opened and George Carter inventing Photon. So every March 28th, and it's really kind of cool that March 28th is the day of the Laser Tag Convention. So we'll celebrate the convention on Laser Tag Day in honor of all laser tag, but a special nod to George and to Photon for being the first. And I appreciate your insight on Actual Reality, celebrating their 30th anniversary as a legacy system, and we'll commemorate that as well. And so I thank you so much. Jenna Boyo, owner of Planet Lazer Kelowna. Thank you, Jenna, for taking some time with me.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Listen for more episodes on the first and third Friday of each month. Want to be a guest on an upcoming episode? Find out more and follow my blog and website at TiviaChickLovesLaserTag.com.